For question number 4, they give us the sine of angle alpha. Again, not in simplest radical form, but intentionally, because we know sine is opposite over hypotenuse, cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, tangent is opposite over adjacent. So in this particular case, here's my angle alpha. Opposite over hypotenuse. And then I go on to cosine, which is adjacent over hypotenuse, and tangent is opposite over adjacent. So I work directly with angle alpha to place those side lengths inside that triangle. You could have worked with angle beta and it would have turned out to be the same way. I just happened to pick the first one that was there. In question number 6, again a question right from the Common Core binder. It's talking about OSHA, which is a company or administration that works with the safety in the workplace. And in this particular case, they're talking about a ladder being leaned against a wall. So just to make my life a little easier, I'm going to draw a little scenario of the situation. So there's my wall. Here is my ladder that's leaning against the wall. We assume that all buildings are built perpendicular to the ground. So I'm assuming that there's a right angle in here unless I'm told otherwise. And it says that that ladder forms an angle of 75 degrees with the floor. So the angle measure is 75. It says the ladder in part A is 25 feet long, and it wants to know the distance from the base of the ladder to the base of the wall. So this is what I'm looking for in part A. So in part A, with respect to this angle, I have adjacent and hypotenuse. So the cosine of 75 equals x over 25, cross multiply. And I'm rounding to the nearest hundredth according to part A's direction. For part B, it says how high on the wall does the ladder make contact. So now I'm looking for this measurement from the ground to where it hits at the top. So in part B, with respect to that 75-degree angle, this is the opposite. So now I'm going to work with opposite and hypotenuse. So that's the sine of my 75-degree angle equals y over 25. Cross multiply. And I get that y is equal to 24 point, rounded to the nearest hundredth here also, 24.15. For question number 7, also off of the Common Core. In question number 7, it's talking about a ship that's sailing 27 degrees northeast away from the dock. So over in here you've got a boat that's sailing, and it's sailing in this direction, 120 miles at an angle of 27 degrees, and it gets to here, and then the person on the shipmate, realized that he misunderstood the instructions and he was supposed to be sailing along this route instead. They are asking how many miles now does this ship have to travel directly south, so going this way, before they're directly east of the dock. So they're technically asking you, what is this measurement right here, to the nearest mile. With respect to the 27-degree angle, this is the opposite, this is the hypotenuse. So I'm using sine, so sine of 27 equals x over 120. So to the nearest mile, 54 miles. Part B, the question is, how much further did they go out of their way by going the wrong direction compared to going directly east. So I know that in the wrong direction, they went 120 plus 54 miles. So they went 174 miles in the wrong direction. This question is asking me to compare the extra miles. So that means I want to figure out how far it would have been had they started at the dock and gone to this location, so from here to here, and then see what the difference is. So how many extra miles did they go? So with respect to angle of 27, this is adjacent, this is hypotenuse, and that's what I'm going to use to solve. So cosine uses adjacent and hypotenuse. 27 equals y over 120. So this is 120 cosine 27, which gives me 106.9207829. And the extra miles then would be taking the 174 and subtracting the y value from that. So if I take the 174 and minus the y value away, I get 67.0792171, which to the nearest mile, again, is 67 miles. So they went 67 miles out of their way by not following directions and heading northeast and then having to come back than what they would have had they just followed the route that they were supposed to take. So a difference of 67 miles.